Welcome, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. Let's talk about authenticity. You want to? I think that's funny that you'll see authenticity linked with INFJs quite often. And, well, it's not really funny. I mean, we value authenticity, but I think it's funny because so many of us can be totally inauthentic all the time. I mean, compared to some of the other types, it's not even funny. And I think that's really a function of the extroverted feeling component and definitely working with our introverted intuitions so that not only can we give the people what they want, but with that intuition power, we can devise and surmise uh, all the things that they do want. So we have the extroverted feeling component to guide us in how to present, and the introverted intuition that gives us insight into what to give them. you know and this is all well and good. Let's say you're an actor. Great. That's going to be a wonderful use of your ability to be inauthentic. Or you're dealing with a boss, right? Or maybe you were caught in a lie or something, or caught doing something you shouldn't be doing. Then that skill is going to be awesome for you because it's going to come up and carry the day. So, but why is it that we are known as a type that values authenticity and really puts a high premium on it? Well, the reason for this is because just because you can be inauthentic doesn't mean that you want to be. And I think that's the INFJ in a nutshell, right there. We would prefer to be absolutely authentic. That, I think, is a function. We had a couple broadcasts back where we were talking about direct speech, and I've often read that INFJs are, known for their direct speech. I know that I certainly am, and I certainly do like to speak directly. And I feel that speaking directly is very much a function of being an authentic person because if there's something you think would be good to say, and you decide not to say it or to say something different, that's not exactly authentic. That's called strategy, and which is fine. There may be good reasons for that. As a matter of fact, maybe it's not a boss. Maybe it's not. Anything that's all that important. It's just that, they don't want to hear it. So you just, it's the lie of admission, isn't it? You just tell them you were thinking of telling somebody something, and then you decide now just keep my own counsel. And I think in many ways the INFJ is the master of keeping their own counsel. And that's maybe a topic for another broadcast because I want to talk a little bit more about authenticity, and I want to get into some other things I've been kind of thinking about. But I had a note here to bring up authenticity, and I think we mentioned it earlier on. But we're at we're over 100 videos now, so we're looping back in many cases, and it's not like I exactly always have a plan. In fact, it's been maybe the last 10, 15 videos where I've started making some notes like in my day-to-day life, about things I might want to talk about. Prior to that, I just sit down and turn on the recorder because the whole idea is just to give you the direct NI pipeline. But we can do that with a few notes, and the authenticity is a really, really valuable thing. So let's say, and we've touched on this, we all know that you can be an actor, you can give the people what they want, and you can create and maintain all sorts of relationships based on this ability. The problem is that if you're not careful, you'll create an inauthentic and artificial life. And the people that think that they are your dearest friends don't know the actual you. And that's the kind of loneliness that really bites. That's the kind of loneliness that cuts you deeply, you know. I think if you only have one friend in the world, but they know you for your authentic self, then you're not going to be all that lonely. But you could have hundreds or thousands of people that know some aspects of you, the bits that you can show them that you think are acceptable. And they're all going to think they're your friends, and you might know the real truth, which is you don't have a friend, because that's pretty much the definition of a friend, in my view. What distinguishes a friend from an acquaintance is that you're able to be yourself around them, and they still want to talk to you. They still want to hang out. That's very important. And so, I think the other reason we value authenticity is because of clear insight. And clear insight is a function of the introverted intuition, and we love it. We love to have clear, clean insights into things and have attained understanding. And we're not all the same. We don't all care about the same stuff. I'm into things like art and music and philosophy. But some of you are into different stuff. But whatever it is that you're into, you're always, if you're like me, you're always working on gleaning and collecting ever greater insights and understanding about that thing. And that's one of the rewards of life. Absolutely. It's a great feature of life. And the ability to do that in the modern age is absolutely phenomenal. And don't underestimate that, because you know what being educated was 300 years ago, just having more books than someone else. And hopefully they're good books, right? In any given village, how many books would you have? 10, 100, 1,000, maybe in a really big village? And if you're talking about, and now there's another that ties in another little thing I was thinking about. I don't know if you've ever heard about. I think it was Socrates, and he was really didn't like writing. He thought that it would destroy people's ability to remember things, and he wasn't really wrong. And I've touched on that in other areas where, because of all the modern contrivances, we don't have to remember things. I barely remember the phone number of the place I lived for 20 years, not that long ago. I do remember that, but I can't remember childhood addresses, phone numbers, teachers' names, maybe one or two. Even a lot of my friends' names, it's all just kind of faded into the past. And now we have resources we can look into to try and remember and recall. We have writing, and we have the ability to record ourselves. We have video now. We have a lot of different things. And I think it's awesome. I just think it's great that we can use all these different tools to develop ever greater understanding of the things that have meaning to us. And as we've discussed in the previous broadcast, meaning is a very subjective thing. I don't feel that there really is much other than being a mother or father that has intrinsic meaning. And even that intrinsic meaning, if you really dig in a bit, is based on biology. It's based on the way that you've been wired as a mammal. I'm sorry to strip all of that away, but it's the truth. But we can ignore that and just say we'll give that the one thing that has intrinsic meaning. And you should definitely, if nothing means anything to you, that's called depression. We talked about that in the broadcast before, and that might be good to talk about again. We got just a minute here, so we may as well just touch on a few points. Yeah, depression means you don't care about stuff. You don't care about anything. Maybe even, and maybe especially yourself. And I do know INFJs can be inclined towards the depression. I wouldn't say, I've known other types, I think, that definitely dive deeper. They're more exposed because, getting back to authenticity, for us it's a spigot we could turn on or off because we are introverts. And even though we enjoy people and we enjoy people regarding us well, at the end of the day, we're going to retreat, and we're going to retreat into our castle, our fortress of indifference or what have you. And I think there's a special strength that comes from that. And hopefully, it is possibly to be inauthentic with yourself, and I would consider that to be the greatest unforgivable sin. And sorry to touch on that at the very end here, but we'll be back in a couple days. Maybe we'll get into that some more. Until I come back in a couple days, keep on keeping on, INFJ.